Hey everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In this video, I'm going to be talking to you about my experience going VAT registered as an Amazon FBA wholesale business within the UK. So I'm going to talk about my experience, the problems I faced, when it happened, how it happened, and ultimately how I overcame those problems. And hopefully this should help some of you guys out there who are watching, who are maybe creeping up really fast to the VAT threshold and are maybe a bit apprehensive, a bit scared about what's going to happen. And hopefully this video should give you more clarity on how to overcome those problems. So for context, I run an Amazon FBA wholesale business. We do multiple seven figures per year, and we have a warehouse, which I'm studying now, and a team of staff that are really great and help with the operations. For anyone who is watching who hasn't watched any of my previous videos, I'll just give you a bit of context on how I got started. So I got started now about, I think it's just over 4 years ago. Started off as a side hustle alongside my part-time job, my full-time job, sorry, in COVID. So I was a car salesman and it was COVID and it was during lockdown. I just started it as a side hustle. I'd always been quite business-minded and interested in doing different side hustles and different stuff. And long story short, we started selling on Amazon and I found some really great success with it. Played about with it for about a year, went back to work, was doing it part-time, was doing maybe 10K a month in revenue, and thought I'm really going to scale this. I saw the potential and I really started to scale it. And at that point, quit my job and really started to scale from, 10K per month all the way to, we were seeing 15K a month, 20K a month, 25K a month really, really fast. So what happened is we crept up on that VAT threshold really, really quickly. So from the point of decision making where we were going to scale the business really fast to the point of getting VAT registered was only about 3 to 4 months. Now, for some context, this is the first business that I've ever scaled and ever ran. So didn't have too much experience in systems, processes, finance, what VAT was, how it worked, what implications it would have on my business. At this stage, when we were just about to get VAT registered, I was in the headspace of buying products, I'm selling products, I'm making a profit margin, I'm making a good profit margin, and yeah, I was just trying to increase the volume and increase the scale as much as possible. Okay. However, therefore, due to my lack of knowledge and potentially naivety, it did cause a few problems when we went VAT registered because didn't plan for it, didn't prepare for it, and ultimately I just didn't know what to do. So that resulted in 6 to 12 months of seeking different advice and ultimately a big learning process, which I'm thankful that we got through it. But I know there's a lot of you guys out there in similar situations. Maybe you started Amazon as a side hustle, maybe you do online or retail arbitrage, maybe you do wholesale, maybe you can do private label, right? And you are getting to the point now where you're scaling the business, it's going really well, and VAT is just around the corner, right? So when it comes to VAT registration, there was 3 main problems that I would say that I faced, okay? The first one, which is probably the obvious, which was a loss of margin. Second one was I just didn't know anything about VAT, so we had loads of finance issues and loads of reconciliation issues with, not knowing how to reconcile everything, not knowing the right softwares, ultimately just not knowing how to approach the situation. And thirdly, and probably the most important actually, was a lack of direction and a lack of vision. So, after we went VAT registered, it was a case of, everything was, we were on a mega high. We were, just before we went VAT registered, we were scaling really fast. We had, 25, 30, 35% profit margins going really, really well. And at the point of VAT registration, unfortunately for us, we went VAT registered. I quit my full-time job the same month. And also it was the point, I think because of COVID or there was something to do with the freight, right? Cost prices from suppliers were going up. Like we were seeing sometimes like 50%. With one supplier, it went up like 50 to 100%. So it doubled in cost price. And we were seeing cost prices everywhere in the business. We'd just taken on new commercial premises. Not only were we suffering a loss of margin because we were now going VAT registered, but our cost prices were going up. We've got a new commercial premises. We've got a new unit. Also, unfortunately, I think the same month or the month after, the Amazon fees actually went up as well, like just the normal FBA fees. So for those of you new to Amazon do increase their fees roughly around every, 8 to 12 months, maybe 18 months. And just in accordance with inflation, really, everything just goes up. So Amazon fees go up as well. And everything really hit me at once. And that really caused a lack of vision, a lack of confidence. And ultimately, I just didn't know where to go, right? So I sat there and I thought to myself, right, I've got to solve these problems. Those are the 3 problems that I have, and I'm just going to share with you now how I solved them. So the first problem obviously was the loss of profit margin. Now, there's loads of different ways that you can solve this and loads of different ways that you can really plan and prepare for it. And it all comes down to knowledge and capability, right? So if I had the knowledge that I knew now, none of these problems when I went VAT registered would happen. And I see the same with all of our students. I see the same all the time. If you really plan and prepare and understand what that is, how to prepare for it, and the things you need to put in place to actually, get through it, you won't see any problems, right? I'm just talking from my experience, okay, which was a 19-year-old, new to business, no experience. I really had to adopt that do or die mindset. So I think at the time we were maybe doing 20 to 30K per month in revenue, right? So we went back registered. A lot of I think around 70% of our portfolio then became like 5% margin, 6%, 7% margin. And again, some of you guys might resonate with this if you've just been VAT registered. It's really common if you don't prepare for it. So I really adopted that do or die mindset of like, right, I need to go out there and I need to find these products and I need to, build some foundations and get my business off the ground. So what I did was I set a goal and I worked back from it. I set the goal of 100K per month in revenue. Okay. So at this point, we're maybe doing like 20, 25, 30K per month in revenue. And I set the goal of, right, I want to hit £100,000 per month in revenue. So I set that goal and I worked back from it. I thought, right, how many inquiries do I need to make? How many brands do I need to bring on board? What do I actually need to do to get to that figure? And by adopting the do or die mindset, I just relentlessly went at it. And I had this goal in my head and I was going to do everything to get there. For the course of maybe the 6 to 8 months after that, all I was doing was relentlessly just trying to get to that goal. Okay, so I'd set this 100K per month figure in my head. I don't know where it came from, but I just set it in my head and I was just relentlessly going for it. By implementing this, it just gave me that discipline and gave me that fire to really go out there and do it. So I think from the point where we went back registered, I think about 6 to 8 months later, we hit the 100K per month mark. And that was just through relentless discipline, understanding what works, what doesn't, sourcing new products, bringing new brands on board, and just really going for it 150%. And about 3 to 4 months into the process, I realized that, the 3 key skills that I needed to actually grow the business and increase the revenue was being able to source great products. So what I mean by this is actually finding products on Amazon that meet our criteria. Okay, so what I was doing before is I was finding products and I was contacting brands, but I was probably contacting the wrong type of brands, which was being detrimental to us later down the line. So I wasn't looking at consistency. I wasn't looking at all these different checks that you should do. And I wasn't looking at that. I was just trying to contact as many brands as possible, right? And throughout this process, I learned that, be selective of who you want to work with and working with the right brand. So the first skill is actually finding the right type of products. The second skill is contacting the brands and knowing how to articulate yourself, how to position yourself to these brands, and really how to communicate your value to these brands. And that's really going to increase the success rate of the amount of brands that you get open, right? Therefore, increasing your revenue. Skill number 3 was actually being able to negotiate. Okay, I was finding that we was getting loads of price lists sent through, we were getting loads of accounts open. So I was doing skills number 1 and 2 correct. But then skill number 3, which was the negotiation, I sort of struggled and I didn't really know how to do it. So really what I doubled down on over those 6 to 8 months was really finding great products, finding great leads, learning how to contact those leads and contact the brands, overcome objections, open as many accounts as I could, and open the accounts ultimately that other people couldn't get open, right? And step number 3 was negotiate the absolute best possible prices in all scenarios. Okay. And there is a formula to this, and there is, over the past 2-3 years, we've done thousands and thousands and thousands of inquiries and we've learned what works, what doesn't. We now have a great formula to put this on autopilot almost, right? You need to really get great at those 3 key skills. And that's really, I think, the main thing that I learned and the main thing that overcame that, we had this problem, which was a loss of margin and we was losing products. And when we went back registered, we were competing on the wrong type of listings. We were ultimately just lost loads of margin. Again, what I did was set the goal from it, understand, right, what are the key skills that I needed to get great at and become good at in order to make this business a success. And I doubled down on those skills. I set a goal and I worked relentlessly at that goal. So that was really what managed to build the foundations and build the framework for what we have today, really. Now, the second problem I had was just simply a lack of knowledge in terms of finance, in terms of business systems, process, everything. Okay. So, as mentioned before, when we went back registered, I didn't particularly understand what VAT was, how it worked, all the complexities that come with Amazon, how to reconcile your Amazon accounts with your accountant, how to make sure that all the VAT is correct, how to make sure the 0% is correct, how to make sure the lower rate VAT is correct. There's so many types of different reimbursements, reversal reimbursements, loads of different fees all over the place where you need to make sure the VAT is correct. And this took me months and months and months and months to figure out, from trial and error, seeking professional advice, and ultimately a lot of money and time, right? I had to figure that out myself. And that's ultimately, I think, one of the reasons why, I created the blueprint, was because if I had the, I know I always say this in all of the videos, right? But genuinely, if I had the knowledge that I have now, I wouldn't have experienced any of these problems, right? That's one of the main reasons why we created the blueprint is to create a like-minded community of individuals who are all on the same journey, all on the same mission. If I had a community where I could ask a question and it would solve my problem instantly, instead of spending lots of time, lots of money, and probably 1, 2, 3 months trying to solve a problem, if I could just solve it in an instant, my life would have been 10 times easier. I would have scaled so much faster. I would have had a hell of a lot less stress. And ultimately, the business would have just scaled 10x quicker, right? So that's the reason why I created the blueprint, and why I've seen so much success with Amazon, and also all of our students as well. So that's the second thing that I struggle with, and how I overcame it, is acquiring the knowledge to actually understand how that works, how to, I guess, translate that to your accountant and to your books, and make sure everything is reconciled correctly. And the third issue that I faced was really a lack of direction, or a lack of a sense of purpose, right? When you think, for context, when you go from doing 15k a month, 20k a month, 25k a month in revenue with really healthy profit margins, you start making a lot of money quite quickly, a lot more than you were making in your job. And then suddenly you go VAT registered and everything crumbles, as I've just alluded to before, product costs increase, Amazon fee increase, taking on a warehouse, quitting your job, going back registered all at the same time was a really quite overwhelming and quite a big step, and a big learning process for me in my journey. That automatically gave me a lack of confidence, a lack of vision, a lack of direction, and I had to sit down and go, right, what is it I'm trying to achieve here, and how am I going to achieve it, right? And I think the problem I had was a lack of accountability. I didn't have an accountability partner. It was just me, myself, and I really, at the start of the journey, when I went back registered, I needed that accountability partner. I needed that vision. I needed that direction. I just needed that. I almost knew what I needed to do, but I needed someone to reaffirm that to me. Right? Set a goal, work your way back from it, and get in proximity of the same people who are on the same journey as you, on the same mission as you, because you're experiencing these problems now. There is somebody who has maybe 2, 3, 4 months ago experienced exactly the same problems as you. They can just give you the knowledge like that of, oh, right, okay, you're struggling with this. Okay, just do this, this, and this. And it'll solve your problems instantly, instead of going around in circles, getting probably quite stressed out, frustrated that you don't have the answers to your problems. So it's actually how to solve number 3 is actually get in proximity of great people who are like-minded and they're on the same journey as you. And ultimately get the education, get the knowledge that will save you lots of time. That's really the best advice I can give. That being said, if you are an Amazon seller within the UK and you're doing retail, online arbitrage, wholesale, you are looking to scale your business, you are having problems with product sourcing, negotiations, contacting brands, you really want to scale and you see the potential, but you just think you've got a couple of bits missing, or you really need that those systems and that advice, go to the description of this video and there will be a link to book in a call with either myself or one of my team. Okay, our program is designed to help existing Amazon scalers scale their businesses. Okay, we've seen it with ourselves, we've seen it with no end of our students, that they've been able to implement the systems, the processes, the frameworks, the acquisition systems, all the methods that we used in our business to scale it to where it is today are in the program. Okay, if you feel like we can help you and you would like to work with me, go to the description of this video and book in a call, and we'll have an informal conversation about where it is you're at now, what your goals are, ultimately what you're looking to achieve, and ultimately whether or not we can help you get to those goals and achieve those goals. Thank you very much for watching the video, and I will see you in the next one.